Adam here from the Walser Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2025 Buick Envista. We'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the 25 Buick Envista. This is the Avenir trim level. So it's going to come in three main trim levels. You're going to have your preferred, the ST, which is the sportier version, and then you're also going to have the Avenir, which we have today, obviously, as the most luxurious of the models. Now, there's a lot of pretty cool stuff in here. For 2025, the only big differences that they did do is going to be great for the Minnesota winters. They've added a remote start as well as rear park assist, now standard on all of the Envistas. Now, from there, they did add a new color. There's an aquamarine blue metallic. So if you like that kind of softer blue, this one is the Cinnabar metallic. Gives it a really nice appearance to the exterior of the vehicle. The Envista does come in some fun and pretty luxurious looking colors. Now, before we even get going, I've got my cell phone with me, as we usually do, and I've got wireless charging down here. That's going to give me wireless Apple CarPlay as well as wireless Android Auto. So that's an 11-inch display. It's the perfect size. It's very driver focused. I love how that works. It makes it so easy and safe on the road. Paired my phone in about a minute, and now I've got it every time I hop in the vehicle. I love that feature. It just makes it so easy for your day-to-day commute. But for now, let's put it in drive. We'll go for a spin around, touch on some of the other features. Now, the big difference with the Avenir trim is you're going to have those silver 19-inch wheels. The mesh grille up front is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, the ST is kind of the sportier version, so that's going to be kind of more the blacked out trim if you want that, or the preferred is just going to be the base trim. This one's going to be more of that luxury and kind of the Buick feel that you'd expect. Now, inside, there's also lots of really cool equipment, but we have to start with the engine. So what powers the Buick Envista is a 1.2 liter, 3-cylinder turbocharged motor. Now hear me out, it's not a ton of horsepower, but the torque hits you instantly. For how much you're probably putting your foot all the way to the floor, I think this is more than enough to get you around, whether it's your commute, day-to-day, back and forth to work, picking up the kids, whatever you might be doing, I think it's fine. Plus, in return, it's going to give you 32 miles per gallon on the highway, so I would much rather have the great fuel economy than a little bit of horsepower added into this motor. Now, like I said on the exterior, the Avenir does stand out. You will have the Avenir badging on this vehicle, and as well, like I said, the rear parking sensors are really nice because you do get the backup camera in here. It's a crystal clear display. It makes it really easy to see what's going on behind you, and the parking sensors is just that little bit of added safety. Now, speaking of safety, this one will get a little bit more standard safety equipment. You're going to have blind spot monitoring. This one also gets the adaptive cruise control. So if you haven't had that before, it's pretty cool. You can set 3, 2, 1 car length distance ahead of you. It's going to keep that distance when you're on the road. Makes it really easy to eat up a lot of miles. And again, it makes it very safe because it will follow that vehicle in front of you. It also has emergency braking. There's a few other things built in here as well. So maybe you're not paying attention for a second, the Buick Envista will keep an eye out for you. Now, on to the interior. In the trunk space, I was surprised. I was able to throw all my camera gear back there. You could easily do a big Costco run back there. Maybe you find yourself at IKEA buying something you weren't planning on. It's a 60-40 split rear seat. So the second row can fold down pretty much flat, and it gives you a pretty decent sized cargo area. But there's also a cargo cover back there, so people can't peer in that rear window to see what you might have back there. And it does come with a spare tire. I know a lot of vehicles come with the tire mobility kit. That's not always people's favorite, so having that spare is pretty nice. Now, from the second row, there's actually USB and USB-C charging back there. So if you got the kiddos, they can keep their devices charged up. And I was actually surprised at just how much headroom I have. I'm 6'1", and where I'm driving comfortably, I had headroom back there, I had knee space. Yes, it's a smaller SUV, and if you're looking for more room, you can go up to the Envision or the Enclave. But I think if it's 95% of the time just you buzzing around in the car, this is more than enough room, and the seats are very comfortable. I always say that Nissan has some of the best seats, but when I got in this, it felt great. I was actually blown away at just how comfortable this vehicle is. Being that it's kind of Buick's smallest kind of base SUV, you think the seats wouldn't be that great, but this is power on this side. It's got lumbar control, and they're also heated for the Minnesota winters. Now, like I said, you're going to get the remote start, so when you fire it up, you've got heated seats, and one of my favorite features of all time, the heated steering wheel. A day like today where it's a little rainy, a little cold, having that heated steering wheel is so nice. When your fingers are warm, you're going to be happy, and I love that it's a flat bottom steering wheel. So again, as a taller driver, just having that little bit of extra knee space in here does make a pretty big difference. So I do like that. The steering wheel is leather wrapped, it's very comfortable in your hands, and there's just a few buttons on here. So basically the left side is going to be for the heated controls and that adaptive cruise control. Then on the right side, you got a few different controls for the 8-inch infotainment display. Now you can pull up your music to switch between your Apple CarPlay or FM radio. And then on the back of the steering wheel, there's also volume controls there. So they did leave a volume knob up on the dash, but having it behind the steering wheel so you can skip tracks, change the volume, I do like that feature as well. Now this one is a single zone climate control, but it is automatic. So once you get in, you can hit auto, or when you remote start the vehicle, it will kick on the climate control for you that way, which is pretty nice. Like I said, I've got my cell phone down there, it's charging, I've got my CarPlay, so I'm kind of paying attention to the road. You're not messing with your phone because you can use text messaging, Google Maps, Spotify. It'll pull up my music, it'll pull up all my navigation stuff. I love CarPlay, and if you're not familiar with it or haven't used it before, it is a pretty great addition to these little Buick vehicles. Now, the ride and drive is really good. The footprint on this vehicle is pretty small, but it makes it so easy to kind of dart in and out of traffic. Like I said, that little turbocharged motor, it's more than enough to get you going. The on-ramp is kind of where you're gonna feel it the most, but I think for buzzing around town, you put your foot down, it's a 6-speed and it just kicks in and goes. So I didn't really notice the lack of horsepower. Like I said, the great fuel economy in return is pretty awesome. And there's a lot of style, design, and technology. And the best thing about these Buicks, they start around $24,000. Now, this particular one, if we're talking about MSRP, is gonna creep a little bit over the $32,000 price range. But if you're looking at the average new car price in the US right now, it's now over $49,000. So it's quite a big difference. When you're getting all of the luxury in here, when I see these seats kind of having a great Gatsby sort of feel to it with the gold and black, it does work really nicely all together. They're comfortable. I mean, they're some of the most comfortable seats I've sat in this year. Plus the heated steering wheel, the wireless Apple CarPlay. There's so much great technology and equipment and safety in these vehicles. I'm blown away that it's not more expensive. I mean, if you're comparing this with maybe some of the GMC vehicles, if you're looking at even some of the luxury vehicles, you are gonna spend a little bit more if you're looking into that German luxury SUV. I think these are absolutely worth getting out, get behind the wheel, pop the power lift gate. I mean, set up the radio, get it all dialed in. There's so much to like about these little Buick Envistas. And I think if you're in the market for an SUV, this is absolutely one to add to your list. Come out, take for a spin, and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and test drive in the 2025 Buick Envista. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.